train arrives at the station. Everyone passes by, rushing on with their lives and ignoring the shuffling, mumbling, dishevelled individual, the kind of person you'd ensure embarrassedly that you don't make eye contact with. This is Dennis Clegg, or Spider. He moves into a halfway house after spending years in a mental institute. As he settles into his new life, he reminisces about his childhood and the events that led him to be incarcerated. His father's adultery, the subsequent murder of his mother, and the mistress replacing her. But as the film goes on, we begin to understand that Spider's memories of the past are less than reliable, and what actually happened is in fact far more disturbing. An often used conceit in Cronenberg's movies is the question of perceived and subjective realities. An early scene in Videodrome has the main character slap a woman and then immediately apologise, only to be told that he never laid a finger on her, contradicting both what the protagonist experienced and what we, the audience, perceived. This effectively sets up the viewer to question and reinterpret each subsequent scene, knowing that what we're viewing may not actually be what's happening. It's a device used throughout Spider. As the film progresses, we begin to understand that Spider's flashbacks are unreliable at best, and that the events portrayed cannot be taken at face value. Understanding of the film's narrative is dependent upon appreciation of the lead character's mental state, even just to follow the events that are taking place, and indeed to ascertain whether or not they actually do take place. Effectively, everything that happens in this movie is suspect, it being seen through the eyes of an entirely unreliable narrator. As such, any conclusions are, at best, ambiguous. In this respect, the film itself represents the fractured mind state of its protagonist, as he pieces together memories like jigsaw pieces, trying desperately to make them fit. And incidentally, don't think for a minute that Cronenberg passes up on that particular metaphor. Early drafts of the script had a voiceover, a leftover from the novel it's based upon, which was told in the first person. Cronenberg quickly dropped it, concerned that the necessary articulation and self-awareness would contrast too jarringly with Spider's character. And Rafe finds his performance as Spider as meticulous, utterly convincing as he shuffles and mumbles his way through every scene, his unease and mannerisms suggesting the constant inner turmoil. It's a textbook example of acting without dialogue. Though one can't help wondering what a voiceover would have been like if actually performed strictly in character. Surely a missed opportunity for a DVD commentary at the very least.
What's this? Peggy Street.
Cronenberg incorporates the adult Spider into the flashback sequences, having him stand on the fringes of the scenes. This is a character still very much entangled within his memories, and, as we discover, reshaping them to fit his perception of what transpired. We're not witnessing the past here, but the past as perceived by, or imagined by, Spider. Many of the flashbacks he wasn't there to witness, and others strike us as ill-fitting or unlikely if taken at face value, such as when his father is accused by Spider of murdering Spider's mother. His father acts not like a man guilty of murder, but one confused and distressed by his son's odd behaviour, and is himself torn between anger and concern. Spider's obsession is Oedipal in nature. He becomes aware of his parents' sexual activity and cannot reconcile his mother as a sexual being. Instead, he interprets that side of her nature as being that of a completely separate woman to his mother, turning her into another person, superimposing her onto the drunken tart from an earlier encounter. He therefore appears to witness his father begin an affair with this other woman, and, as his delusions increase, he witnesses his father murder his mother, the good and pure woman, and supplant her with his new mistress. So far so simple, but the film also highlights the messy, tangled web of emotions and repressed desires tied up within this complex. The scene in which Spider's father receives a handjob has the adult Spider replacing his father midway through the scene. It's the only time we see him move from the outskirts and immerse fully into one of his flashbacks, and there's a nude picture onto which he mentally superimposes his mother's face. Cronenberg also has both characters played by Miranda Richardson to emphasise Spider's delusional state. Of course, having the same actress play both roles also hints heavily towards the final revelation, undermining the impact of the unexpected twist ending. It suggests that Cronenberg is far more concerned with creating a portrait of Spider's mind than constructing a mystery, and the film plays out as tragic drama rather than a more cliched psychological thriller. In the film's final act, the past begins to bleed into the present. Spider begins to relapse, the revelations of the past too much to be endured, and his old obsessions recur. His memories now intrude upon his current perception, the halfway house landlady taking on the guise of his mother. We see her transformed from one woman into another, and it's a neat acting trick, considering that at this point in the movie, both women are in fact played by the same actress.
In your room, Mr. Clegg. This filthy thing. It will come down. I ask you again, Mr. Clegg. Where are my keys?
Who are you?
Don't play dumb with me, my friend.
Imagery plays a strong role in this movie, right from the opening sequence where watermark stains on plaster walls suggest Rorschach ink blots, combining the bleak decay of the settings with the psychiatric concerns of the story. Web imagery recurs throughout, of course, the young Dennis Clegg obsessed with spiders, and more literally, the web he constructs as both a child and adult, for protection perhaps, and the trap he utilises in the film's climax. And Cronenberg also makes the most of location. There is a dark and dank look to the film. Decrepit and isolated streets, and the looming gasworks opposite the house, a stark and heavy omen of the final sequence. From the rusty bathwater to Spider's nicotine-stained fingers, you can practically taste the decay in the air. All this is contrasted starkly to the bright and almost idyllic scenes in the asylum, especially the scenes out in the fields. If there's one thing we can be sure of about life in a British asylum in the 50s or 60s, it's that it probably wasn't idyllic. Spider had a highly limited budget, and the director, producers and stars agreed to waive their salaries to boost the underfinanced production, and the cast's dedication is reflected in some outstanding performances, especially Miranda Richardson's multiple roles, and Ralph Fiennes, who, to my mind, has never been better. Spider is a meticulous and elegantly executed exploration of a disturbed mind. It's a bleak story, but an honestly moving one, delivered with genuine sensitivity and insight.